Like and subscribe right now, or this spider will crawl on your face when you're sleeping.
10 most terrifying sea monsters. In the depths of the blue seas where sunshine hardly touches, there's a whole lot to be scared of. It's an unforgiving landscape and houses equally vicious creatures. Millions of years ago, it was home to the most terrifying monsters of all time. Lurking from the depths of darkness, these creatures surprise their victims with their mouths full of sharp teeth. Well, whether it's true or just legends, these stories and research have always fascinated us, and that's the sole reason we are back today with 10 most terrifying sea monsters on Earth. Number 10. Shastasaurus. This 27-foot marine reptile wasn't a dinosaur, although this creature was an ichthyosaur, a member of a group of fish-shaped marine reptiles that were perfectly suited to a life spent entirely at sea. Contrary to the long, dented, dolphin-like snouts of most ichthyosaurs, its skull carried an exceptionally short, toothless snout. As it turns out, one of the greatest creatures ever to swim the sea wasn't exactly a fearsome predator due to its strange snout. The Shastasaurus was a specialized feeder for suction, eating mainly fish and feeding on soft-bodied cephalopods that lacked shells. Today, the remains of Shastasaurus are generally identified with the Pacific Ocean's northern coastlines, but it must be noted that, back in the Triassic, the continents of today were all very similar to each other and surrounded by a single wide ocean. Although the Pacific Rim may have shaped most of this coastline, the slowly breaking up land masses produced new seas, and it is thought of as such. Before we move on, I've got a little challenge for you that'll take 5 seconds to complete. So here's the deal, you just leave a like on this video, smash that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell, and you will get 25 years of amazing luck. Try it really works. Number 9. Thalassomedon. Thalassomedon is a genius of plesiosaurs, labeled in 1943 by Wells. In Greek, thalassian means sea, while medon translates to lord, ruler, thus sea lord. Thalassomedon's distribution remains to show that it swam in the western interior seaway, somewhere in the Cretaceous Sea that divided North America into two halves. Thalassomedon were huge predators, reaching up to 40 feet in length. The flippers were almost 7 feet long, allowing it to swim with deadly efficiency at depths, while its neck was almost 12 meters. Crazy, I know, longer than a giraffe's. Anyway, his reign as a top predator lasted through the late Cretaceous period, eventually ending when the sea saw new and larger predators, such as the Mosasaur. Number 8. Mosasaur. The aquatic lizard, as some would call this predator. Mosasaurs had snake-like bodies with long snouts and large skulls. Their bodies were developed into paddles with shorter limb bones and more numerous finger and toe bones than their ancestors. The body's tail area was long and its ends slightly lowered like that of the early ichthyosaurs. The modifications in the bodies of mosasaurs were critical for their rise to the top of the late Cretaceous marine food chain. Many of the late Cretaceous mosasaurs were large, over 9 meters in length, but the most common forms were no greater than modern porpoises. Some interesting facts about this creature are that mosasaurs are similar to the living Komodo dragon, but for an aquatic existence, they have flipper limbs, which suit them. Mosasaurs had a diverse diet that included other mosasaurs, sharks, ammonites, and fish. Mosasaurs likewise should have been predators. Sharks had eaten them, a knowledge developed with the discovery of shark teeth fixed in mosasaur bone. A mosasaur's jaws were double-hinged like a snake. This helped them to swallow almost the whole of their meals. Because of that action, some fossil remains of mosasaurs have found unchewed prey. Remember Jurassic World? Well, the Tylosaurus mosasaur shown in the film Jurassic Park was the largest mosaic in existence. Number 7. Dakosaurus. Dakosaurus is an extinct prehistoric crocodile that existed from the late Jurassic era through the early Cretaceous period, about 150 million to 130 million years ago. Dakosaurus means tearing lizard. It was discovered in a rich fossil bed in Argentina. One of the most fascinating things about Dakosaurus is that it was actually relatively slow in the water, but it was certainly quick enough to capture its favorite prey, which would actually have been the fish, shellfish, and maybe even squids. It may also have eaten some of the smaller marine reptiles that were present in the ocean at this period. That is, if it could have caught them. Paleontologists estimate that this prehistoric crocodile was about 15 feet long, weighing about 2,000 pounds or 1 ton. That made it heavier than a cow, while its unique teeth have led scientists to consider it an apex predator during its reign of terror. Number 6. Megalodon. The Megalodon, extinguished millions of years ago, was the largest shark ever to prowl the oceans and one of the largest recorded fish. The scientific name, Carcocles megalodon, means giant tooth, and with good reason. Its enormous teeth are nearly 3 times larger than the teeth of a great white shark of modern times. Megalodon's huge size could have been to climatic conditions and the availability of large prey items, and it may also have been affected by the emergence of regional endothermy, which would have improved its metabolism and swimming speed. Its jaw is estimated to span 2.7 by 3.4 meters wide, easily large enough to swallow side by side 2 adult people. Such jaws were lined with 276 teeth, and analysis of the shark's bite force reconstruction indicate it may have been one of the most powerful predators ever to have lived. The size of a school bus, good thing it went extinct, but you can watch the Meg and have a feel of how things would have been if it was still in our water bodies. Number 5. Nothosaurus. Nothosaurus, whose name means false reptile, is a genus of sauropterygian reptile which originated in what is now Africa, Asia, and Europe during the Triassic period. Measuring about 4 meters in length, this marine reptile had forward-pointed teeth to make fish catching easier. Nothosaurus had a slender body, long neck and tail, and long arms. While the species was aquatic, the limbs were less adapted for swimming. It's thought that Nothosaurus was mainly an ambush hunter, using his sleek reptilian form to creep up on the prey and take it by surprise. It's suspected that Nothosaurs were similar to pliosaurs, another type of deep-sea predators. Fossil evidence indicates they had lived more than 200 million years ago during the Triassic period. The Nothosaurus lived in pairs and were going to hunt together. If they encountered an unfamiliar creature, they would examine it to decide whether or not it was a threat. Number 4. The latterkhan saurophagus. The latterkhan saurophagus was at least 28 feet long and lived about 244 million years ago during the Triassic period. Its name translates into lizard-eating ruler of the sea. The Latterkhan saurophagus was discovered in the late 1990s and eventually collected in 2010. In the Triassic oceans, the latterkhan had a huge skull and jaws armed with large teeth and sharp edges used to grab and slice through other marine reptiles. Because it was a meta-predator able to prey on creatures that had bodies similar in size to their own, the latterkhan was equivalent to modern orca whales. The Latterkhan saurophagus is believed to be the first sea monster. Number 3. Taneastropheus. Taneastropheus is an extinct reptile that lived during the late Triassic period around 215 million years ago. It was first discovered by Francesco Bassani during the 19th century. He gave it his name in 1886, a name that means long-necked. Taneastropheus was about 20 feet tall. Its neck was about 10 feet long and weighed about 300 pounds. Paleontologists say this web-toed reptile is likely to have spent much of its time hanging around the banks of a river or the shoreline using its long neck to capture fish. His front legs were slightly shorter than his back legs, which prompted paleontologists to speculate that his weight may have transferred to catching fish. Like some lizards that are alive today, if captured by a predator, its tail might detach to allow an escape, then it will regrow. Although Taneastropheus lived on land, it remains uncertain whether it reproduced by giving birth or if it laid eggs. Some Taneastropheus fossils of other genera, however, suggest that live birth was possible. And with that, it's now time for today's best pick. Today's photo was sent to us by a subscriber, so if you come across a photo online and want to know more details about it, just send it over to us. We might even feature it on our future video. Number 2, Tylosaurus. Does the picture bring chills to your body? It should, as the Tylosaurus was the toughest hunter in the ancient seas, ready to grab and destroy just about every smaller creature that crossed its path with true jaws of terror, bound with 2 rows of sharp, cone-shaped teeth on either side. Tylosaurus used their snout to spot the prey, which was swallowed whole once within the threatening jaws of the Mosasaur. When the sea creature opened wide for the final gulp, 2 extra rows of teeth on its mouth's roof allowed no escape from crippled captives. This creature grew over 14 meters long, making it the largest of the marine reptiles known as mosasaurs. Like all mosasaurs, Tylosaurus was propelled through the water by a long, muscular, vertically flattened tail, enabling it to ambush its prey with quick acceleration bursts. Many fossils of Tylosaurus were found at Kansas, once hidden by a wide ocean called the Western Interior Seaway. Number 1, Liopleurodon. Liopleurodon was the most powerful water predator ever. Their body, 25 meters long, would have crossed the shallow seas of the late Jurassic silently, propelled by his flapping flippers. The first proof of the presence of this species was 3 fossilized teeth that were discovered in France in 1873. By those 3 teeth alone, in 1873, Henri-Emile Sauvage gave it the name Liopleurodon, a name that means smooth-sided teeth. But it wasn't just its large size that made this reptile threatening. It was also the fact that it had a 5-foot-long skull loaded with razor-sharp teeth built for chewing through skin, bone, and muscle. And since its skull was about 1/6 of its total size, that's likely to mean its bite was extremely powerful. Its long jaws and rows of sharp teeth would have made marine crocodiles, Leadsichthys giant fish, ichthyosaurs, as well as other pliosaurs vulnerable to attack. The nostrils are also very interesting, since the structure indicates a sense of smell and direction. This would allow Liopleurodon to locate its prey while still well out of visual range, possibly even smelling the blood of fresh killing from other predators like sharks today can do. The last thing that makes this animal so horrific is that its flippers arrangement has allowed it to accelerate effortlessly. Many paleontologists say that it was very swift in the water and could swim as fast as a shark, about 25 miles per hour, which is about 5 times faster than 5.34 miles per hour, the fastest human swimming speed. Luckily, these creatures went extinct long before human beings evolved.